did you finish training?
Yeah, a little bit.
Or on a break at least?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Do you have now, I guess to start with this, do you have anything coming up right now? Obviously, you had the big win back in January. What's on the schedule at the moment?
Just, heal up for this one, for this next one. Nothing scheduled. I got, still a couple more, about 2 more weeks on a suspension for a hard fight. So, we're not pushing past that and letting my body heal a little bit, a little injury from that 5-rounder. But, whenever the next one comes, we'll definitely, let everyone know.
Now, I want to start off with that one. First of all, congratulations on the title fight win.
Thank you.
And that's obviously a huge one for you, capturing, LFA gold. And I know, it has been a few months, but just give me an idea of what that moment was like for you.
Just since I got, announced as, hey, you're going to be fighting for the title, it's just a different demeanor, different mindset, seeing my future and, everything just ahead, ready to go. And, it was like a huge honor to fight for it, just the competition. Arthur, I know it was going to be a brawl, and just, winning that from a tough guy was, icing on the cake, and knew it solidified me as, I'm going to be one of the best. So, just to know I am one of the best, carry around that gold and have that title, knows I'm on the right track.
Now, as far as the title itself goes, I mean, a lot of times being LFA champ is seen as a pathway into the UFC. And I don't want you to give anything away, but have there been feelers? Have there been any nibbles from the promotion? Do you think you're going to be defending the belt next, or what's the situation right now?
They just been, waiting for me to see if, I'm healthy, ready to go. They're always, I always have that title defense until, something else comes up. But, we're just testing the waters, let me get back to, I just started training, lightly. So I don't want to be like, hey, when's my next fight? Oh, 2-week notice. You ready? I'm like, no. But, I just want to heal up and then get back in the mindset again and get in a full training camp. And then I can, hey, we're ready to go. No hesitation. I'll be there.
And I was going to ask, would you consider, obviously you're on the medical suspension still, but, once you get past that, would you consider the short notice opportunity? Because it feels like that's a big way in right now with so much chaos from the pandemic.
Yeah, definitely. One of our biggest things is, you don't have to get ready when you stay ready. So, we're going to, as soon as I'm able to open up full camp, I'm going to stay ready, go in, hit it hard, and just, be ready for any call up or any dropout for any sudden, call.
What has training been like you during the pandemic? Because obviously you're in the gym right now. There's a few bodies, but how impacted have you been in terms of your camp and who you can train with, who you can spar with?
Definitely at the beginning, whenever we didn't know, how severe it was. It's still, a serious case, but the restrictions have lifted a little bit. But just working with the restrictions and trying to get people, make sure they're comfortable training. Same training partners, distance training, and just definitely for fight camp we kept with the same training partners. Try to ask them to stay away from parties and everything like that. Try to cancel out everything. But it's been a daunting task, but it's part of the business, and just to push through this knows it lets me know that that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, and I'm ready for it.
Absolutely. I want to ask you a couple other things as well. I mean, as far as the UFC goes, obviously that's the goal. There's the Contender Series, of course, and I assume that's something you'd be interested in as well, if possible.
Yeah. There's nothing, off the table that we're ready for. We're just waiting, willing and waiting, and, putting it out there that, we're ready for anything.
And is it UFC or bust, or would you consider some of the other big shows? Because, I mean, right now you've got Bellator ramping up for their return in in April. You've got the PFL coming back, and you've got ONE doing these shows on TNT. So it seems like there's a lot coming up.
Yeah, I always feel like not that sound cocky, but I deserve to be in the UFC. But taking if they're not ready, or they're pretty full rosters, waiting a little bit, get a little impatient, and I could definitely sign with not a lesser, but equally as important fight for Bellator or PFL, and even ONE. We've had some friends fight for them, and a great organization. But we just want to be this time you're limited in this game, so the faster you get to the top, the more that you can thrive there.
Absolutely. And, on your way to the top, you picked up 3 straight wins now. What's been the key to that recent success for you?
Definitely just staying more focused. That Ben Egley fight, really tested. Third round, I was dying. I had to switch something up, and it just, pulling out, everything I need to learn. And we weren't worried at all about that 5 round fight because I switched everything up, got my diet where it needed to be, got training hours where I needed to be. Just it let me fine tune everything to where I can be competing with the best whenever and wherever.
Absolutely. And, I guess the other thing I want to ask you, and this is kind of a silly one, but the name NyQuil, I imagine you pick up because, you're putting guys to sleep and not in the lullaby, gentle kind of way. But when did you first pick that up?
I picked it up in probably 2009. I was boxing for Shippensburg University, and there was a guy there actually. They called him NyQuil, but it was like a little competition between us. I ended up getting more knockouts for the year, so like, hey man, you got to retire your name. This guy's taking over. And, I mean, I've never looked back. I've been still trying to put people to sleep, on any chance I get. So hopefully that reputation carries through, to the end of my career.
So you literally did earn your nickname in that sense if it was a competition like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's been well earned, and hopefully I'm representing it well.
Good stuff. And, you've got a wrestling background. I know you've got a boxing background as well. How did you make the transition into mixed martial arts initially, and what inspired you to do it?
I was looking at these guys around. I was wrestling for Shippensburg as well. Kind of in high school, like my senior year, I really didn't know about UFC or MMA too well. I knew some kids around me trained it. Like, hey Nick, you should really try this, and I'm like, nodding it off. I'm a wrestler. That's what I do. And then, what's after wrestling? I wasn't good enough for Olympics or anything. Or, I wrestled D2 college, but MMA. Shippensburg had boxing, so I was like, I like to try MMA. So let's do boxing. Focus on that. Get the hands. I got the wrestling. So, MMA just came right in line with everything I had planned for. So, right out of college, we were training MMA and haven't really looked back.
What was the biggest obstacle or biggest adjustment you had to make when you first went into it?
Definitely. I got my head. I got a few bloody noses whenever I started boxing, so I realized I couldn't lean forward and be in that typical wrestling stance. I had to relax, stand up a little bit, and pick my shots with my my takedown. So it was definitely that coming out of that stiff wrestling stance, and my hands not at my hips but up by my face. So there's a few bloody noses when I first started boxing was probably the biggest transition I had.
I know you said you didn't really watch it when you were in college, but I imagine coming up now you do, take in a few fights now and then. Were there any fighters back then as you were starting out who kind of inspired you, who you kind of, looked at them and said, that's what I want to do?
Just off the top of my head, just I'd always remember Chuck Liddell. Just he always had the starlight right when I wanted to start it. I was like, man, I need my hands better. I got the ground game whenever I need to, but let's turn it up on the feet. And then him and Anderson Silva, just watching him come up through the ranks and just humiliate people in a way that no one else was, and just know you could get to that skill level. Really wanted to push me to get to that next skill set and be one of the best.
And I imagine every fighter coming up has that dream, that vision of what their UFC debut is going to look like. When you imagine that, what is your debut like in your head?
It's going to be one of the clear-cut victories that I've ever had. If I feel something's not working in the cage, I can self-adjust. Take it to Plan B if it's a ground, or Plan B if it's striking or wherever that guy is. But I always want to like beat people at their best. If I'm wrestling, if I'm fighting a grappler, I'm going to grapple him. Hey, you got a striker coming up. I'm like, well, I'm going to stand and try to strike with him and try to knock him out on the feet. But I envision going in there and just taking over control, whether it's standing or on the ground, and just getting the finish, second round at the latest, but, just showcasing what I have to offer.
And, this has kind of been a weird over a year now with the pandemic and obviously these empty arena shows. And you've experienced that now as well. What was that like for you, fighting in the empty arena, hearing your coaches, obviously? What was that experience like?
I get pretty focused when I go out there. So sometimes I even like blur out my coaches sometimes when I'm so focused, just, on my game plan. And I'm getting there when I get in a sticky situation, I can always, listen for it. But, walkouts were, typical, I'm focusing on that cage, and I can, not used to hearing people. So, I mean, it wasn't a huge transition, but I know whenever I did have, a big audience in there, and you just hear them all chant for you, you can just feel like, your adrenaline pumping, and you can get that next, position pretty easily. But, not having that, fan support behind you pushing you in the cage was a little different. But, you just get so focused in that cage that it's like, it's just another fight. And it's not too big of a deal, but, it's always nice to have a crowd.
And I imagine at the end of the day, if the call comes and the fans aren't back yet, so be it. You're obviously going to jump at the opportunity no matter what.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's always, great to have that, camaraderie coming out before the fight. So, if it's without people or with people, we're going to be ready to, put on a showcase.
But obviously, you're the LFA lightweight champion. If something did come up at welterweight, is that something that you'd be willing to consider going up just to kind of get your foot in the door?
We kind of thought about that. They'll walk around weights, pretty close to that. So I mean, we wouldn't have to cut a lot of weight, but yeah, that would definitely be an option. If it was a last minute fight, hey, we got this guy, make sure he's not superior, better. I mean, which no one should be, but the weight wise is always kind of a second thought of like, should I do it? Should I not do it? But I could see that happening for sure, like stepping up a weight.
Did you catch UFC 259 over the weekend with Adesanya going up against Jan Blachowicz? Because that's obviously the example right there.
Yeah, definitely coming up. As you got that power difference, but the speed and technique goes so far. But he was nervous. He didn't want to step into the power, so it was definitely a mind game of that. But just training with the people I train with, the bigger bodies, it's always nice to know that I can compete with at 170. So I wouldn't be too hesitant to take a fight at 170.
All right, good stuff. And I'm gonna end off with this question. I mean, 2020 was a tough year to plan for, to have goals for, to really look ahead and go, this is what I want this year, because nobody knew what was going to happen. We're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. We're getting vaccines rolling out. You got some states, opening back up or at least talking about it. So maybe it's a little easier to plan. So for 2021, what's the goal for Nick Browne?
Definitely keep at it if it's a title defense, but I want to see my name in a big organization at the end of the year. I'm going to keep pushing, heal up, stay healthy, keep pushing every avenue we have to get to where we need to be. But definitely stay healthy and get hopefully 3 fights in is cool, but 2, 1. I mean, I've been through a lot with not finding fights, but now's the time that LFA and big organization can find it. But stay active, stay healthy, and work my way to the top.
Absolutely. Well, I wish you the best of luck this year. And Nick, thanks again for the time today. Really do appreciate it, man.